You're here. Great. I've been waiting for you. I'm John Zidar. This is On Top and Hot. And today is Wednesday. It's January 15th. I gotta tell you, I like Wednesday videos. This is about the only time I really get to talk to you about penny stocks. All my other videos about other things. I mean, they're about penny stocks, but not the stocks themselves. So hooray, it's Wednesday. Oh, that means tomorrow being Thursday, I've got my live streaming event. We talk about penny stocks there. I do this every Thursday. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. When the bell's going off at the end of the day, I'm going on. And I'm there for about 90 minutes, and I'm taking requests from viewers like you for hot penny stocks. I don't want to see any stocks looking for light at the end of the tunnel. We're looking for hot penny stocks to share with everybody so we all can make some money. I'm going to be dropping an announcement for that video earlier in the day, around lunchtime. Drop your tickers in then. I do my due diligence before the show, so I'm all ready for you when you get there. By the time 4 o'clock rolls around, I usually have all the tickers I can handle. But if we've got time for more, I will go through any tickers dropped through the show. But I can't guarantee that we'll actually get to them. That's 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Tomorrow. See you there. So as I said, Wednesdays I get to talk to you about penny stocks. And the problem is that I normally only talk about one stock. By golly, that's not enough. Well, you know, I've had a lot of requests here recently to look at stocks. People watch my video and they'll make a comment, but it isn't about the video. They'll say, hey, can you take a look at, hey, Wizzy, will you look at? And I got a lot of those. And I used to try to keep up with them, but they're getting more and more, and I really can't. So I apologize if you're one of those people. I'm not ignoring you. So what I'm going to do today is cover some of those stocks. I've got a few stocks we're going to cover that have been requested. They're all in the tech sector. Most of them are sort of robotics, I guess you would say. So this isn't about hot charts, which is normally how I choose the stocks I share with you. But this is going to help me get my to-do list a little shorter, and we're going to cover more than one stock. And I'm sure you recognize all of these stocks. So the first one we're going to take a look at is Microbot Medical, ticker MBOT. This is a company in the United States based out of Massachusetts. She finished today just under $1.80 at $1.79, and she had a pretty decent day. She was up 16.25%. That was 25% jump up. This is a hot penny stock on the major exchange. She's on the NASDAQ, which comes with benefits compared to the penny stocks on the OTC. First off, they're free to trade. You don't have to pay to buy them or pay to sell them. Second of all, you can trade them pre-market, aftermarket. Some of the biggest, wildest runs you'll ever see pre-market and aftermarket because there's no halts for volatility during then. So there are some huge profit, money-making opportunities in those periods of time that you can never take advantage of with OTC. Plus, there's a lot more money, a lot more volume, and a lot more rules up on the major exchange, which is all good for us. So let's take a look at some information I found out for MBOT. What is MBOT? Well, MBOT is a medical company that deals with robotics and devices. And we're not going to get real deep into it because I want to cover more than one stock. But this is their primary product right now. It is called the Liberty. It is a robotic one-time use device. That is to say, part of it's a one-time use device. What you've got here is this controller like you would have with the video game, and that's exactly what they do. They use it as a controller, and it connects to this bigger box which has a wire that comes out right here, which is inside a real thin plastic tube. And all of this goes inside your arteries, and they use this to control it and drive it through your arteries and get to the blockage or whatever it is, and they can work inside with it. And then when they're all done, they pull that wire out and throw it away and put a whole new brand new wire in there. So that is the product that they've got. I don't know how many other products they've got. So let's take a look at their news. I am back here to just the 10th of December. Microbot Medical announces the FDA submission for the commercialization of the Liberty endovascular robotic system. Now we're going to take a look at that piece of news here in just a second, but I wanted to point out that the company's put a lot of shares on the market. They've made a lot of money. They raised a total of $11.8 million here at the beginning of January, and then they did another direct offering for $8.6 million. So you're looking at virtually $20 million that they've just gotten here in the last 2 weeks. So they're not hard up for money right now, but it has definitely increased the share count, and I have no clue what the share count was and where it is right now. We're going to see what it is in just a second. So let's jump into this piece of news. The FDA 510 clearance is anticipated during the second quarter of 2025, and the company is preparing to commence commercialization following the FDA clearance. They tell us down here that the company is excited to transition their focus towards preparing for their expected U.S. launch in the second quarter of 2025 and targeting the more than 2 million peripheral vascular procedures performed in the U.S. each year. We believe, based on feedback from physicians and the medical community, that Liberty is positioned to redefine the peripheral endovascular space with the introduction of the world's first commercially available single-use robotic system. So it sounds like a popular device amongst the medical community and a first mover at that. So let's take a look at the relative volume for MBOT. Over the last 30 days, she's been averaging roughly 4.1 million shares. Today she did a little bit more. We're up at 4.6 million shares. Share structure for MBOT is pretty decent. Outstanding share count, that is everything the insiders own, which isn't on the market, and everything that is on the market that we're trading. Total, we have about 17 million. I don't know what the float is, but it's not going to be any higher than 17 million. And depending how many shares the insiders own, could be considerably less. Market cap, we are currently at about 26 million. Looking at the financials for MBOT. Oh, we got no money coming in on the annuals. We got no money coming in, period. They have no revenues right now, so getting this device on the market is a huge deal. That would be their first revenues, and that is always a big deal. As they said, moving from research and development into commercialization. That's why they're on the market, to make money. Balance sheet for the company. We've got 3 zeros up here we've got to put behind any of these numbers on these charts. So cash and cash equivalents, which I like to think of as the bank, we got just a little over $500,000 there. Total assets, we're at about 5 million. Total liabilities is only 1.4. So even though we don't have any revenues or profits, we don't have a bag here. It's not deficit we're holding. We've got nearly $4 million that belongs to the shareholders, which isn't bad. And then disclosures, I do believe I already looked at them. No, I didn't. Good thing we took a peekaboo. These SC13Gs are filed whenever you have a new investor come in and they buy so many shares, they become part owner. They're partners with the management now. We had 2 different investors come in. One was for 6% of the company. The other one was for 8% of the company. And these 8Ks and this 424B5, these have to do with those public offerings where they got all their money. So that takes care of everything for MBOT except the chart. So let's go take a look at the chart. Alrighty then, we're over here on my favorite trading platform, my only trading platform. This is the only one I've ever used since I started trading in 2018. This is Thinkorswim. You get it from Schwab and only from Schwab. So we are looking at Microbot Medical, ticker MBOT. This is a 1-day, 1-year chart. As you can see, she's just pretty much been going sideways with a little bit of dipping mixed in there. She's been getting close to the 200-day MA, but she hasn't been doing much of anything next to it. We had one big rip here. This was back in June. She went from roughly $1 up to $2.30. That's 130% gains there. And our low here is 82 cents. That's a 52-week low, and we hit our 52-week high just a few days ago at $3.38. Now let's come on down to our 4-hour 6-month. Still pretty flat here, not a whole lot of difference to look at. Oscillators are weak, but they are turning up right now. All of our oscillators were on a fall, as you could imagine. But with the cupping up here of the price, that's exactly what all of our oscillators are doing. They're all cupping up right now. This is working its way up to get on top of that 50-day MA. That would be a great place for it to get to. Take a look at our 20-day 1-hour. So she jumped here on the 26th of December, and she started to work her way up. It was at the very beginning of the year, the 3rd of January. She had this run from $1.18 up to $4.04. Came back down, hovered over the 200. Looked like she was going to bounce, but no way. All these MAs were on top of her head. They're all over her head like a waterfall. It's tough to climb when all that water is beating you down. So yeah, she came down under the 200, and now all the MAs are right with her, so she's about equal with them. As these MAs come underneath her, they'll start to support her, and she'll have something to jump on, and then she'll start to climb. This is looking ready for a breakout. Our oscillators are in agreement. They are all turning up right now. Our MACD's got a crossover, or our PPO has a crossover right now. MACD has a crossover too over the signal line, and our RSI is clear up at 62 right now. Taking a look at our 5-day 15-minute. Whoa, look at that. So we were at $2.75 5 days ago, up over top of the 200 when it was climbing. Then she took this sudden drop which turned the entire 200 around. Got a wild hair here, folks. Got to get it out of my face. How's it look? All right, I know there's wild hairs everywhere in that face. So once she came under the 200, she just went sideways and she was making headway as she did it. She was underneath every MA here. There's the 9-day and everything's on top of her head. Going sideways, she started just crossing over them without even climbing. She got over that 20, she got over the 200 haul, over the 50. Look at that sneaky little puppy. She went sideways and she's bouncing off of our 200 haul right here. Got right up to the 200 MA. She should have broke out right there. I don't know why she rejected it, and she did. She didn't just say no. She ran from it, hitting a low bubble here of $1.44. Now we're going sideways again, doing this routine, cutting through all the MAs. All of our other MAs are about ready to cross that flat 200. It's going level right now. These are all going to be golden crosses, putting the price into turbo boost each time one of these crosses over. So the chart is looking stronger. All of our oscillators are starting to turn up. So MBOT does look like she has hope, although you got to remember the last week, the market has been falling. So a lot of stocks look like this right now. Underneath everything, coming up on top of the 200, this is what we call the atypical breakout, when your 200-day MA is coming down and the price is underneath it, and then they start to level off. That heavy weight gets off of the prices back so it can finally start to climb, and it cuts through the 200, and that's when you get your breakouts right here. When that 200 goes flat, that price gets light and it starts to run. So MBOT, not looking bad at all. Let's take a look at another company. As I said, all of these companies were requested by viewers. I don't remember who requested it, but I am now looking at ticker ARBE, Arbe Robotics. Now they call themselves a robotics company. Maybe they've got other products I'm not aware of. What I see on the table is LiDAR. They've got 4D LiDAR, which is a very hot product, and they've got some hot news. Arbe finished today at $3.27. She was up 9% today. That was a 27-cent jump. She too is on the NASDAQ, coming with that host of benefits. I don't see what state this company is from. Let's see if we've got a incorporation down here. Well, you do, but it doesn't tell me what state. Tel Aviv, Israel. That's why I don't see a state. So this company is out of Israel. They are a foreign company. So what did I learn about this company? Well, first off, let's see what they say about themselves. Arbe is a leading radar revolution, providing 4D imaging radar solutions that enable truly safe driver assist systems today. We're talking about autonomous driving, while paving the way for fully autonomous driving. Thank you very much. Arbe is empowering the automotive market, enabling vehicles with next-generation sensing and paradigm-changing perception. Arbe's image radar offers an order of magnitude higher resolution than any other competing radar solution on the market, and is an essential sensor for L2 plus and higher levels of autonomy. Arbe's solution includes an RF chipset with the largest channel array in the industry, a groundbreaking radar processor chip, and an AI-based post-processing. The company was founded in 2015 and has offices in Israel and the United States. Taking a look at the news. They did just have a public offering begin. I don't know if it's over yet. I wouldn't think it was. It is for $29 million. However many shares it takes at that price, or roughly that price, to come up to $29 million, that's how many new shares are being added to the outstanding share count right now. So they've got a lot of money in their pockets when this is all done. The big news came out at the beginning of January on the 6th. The company with NVIDIA to enhance radar-based free space mapping and AI driving capabilities. Jumping into this piece of news, they tell us that the company, a global leader in perception radar solutions, announced today that in collaboration with NVIDIA, Arbe is enhancing free space mapping and AI-driven capabilities to further enhance the automotive industry. Now, just so we're clear here, this is not a joint venture. It's not a business arrangement. They're not going to be making money off of each other. It's nothing like that. All they're saying is that Arbe's new product works with NVIDIA's best processor. So it makes it available to the open market because NVIDIA's processor is the one that most of these autonomous vehicles are using. So that's what we're talking about here. We've also got a link down here. This gives you some real clear insight to the differences from 3D LiDAR to 4D LiDAR and what you see and what their LiDAR sees. They've got videos on it. It was pretty interesting. I did watch that. So what was the relative volume for Arbe's? Let's see here. Wow. We did roughly double what she normally does. Over the last 30 days, she's been roughing around 10.5 million shares a day. Today, she did about 20.5 million shares. Share structure for Arbe. It's not bad. It's still under 100 million. Outstanding share count is about 78 million. Not knowing what the insiders own, I can't calculate what the float is, but it's not going to be any higher than the outstanding share count. And if the insiders own a lot, could be considerably less. One of my favorite comments. Market cap for the company. We are fast approaching $250 million. We're at 234 million. Financials for Arbe. All right, revenues were climbing. We were at $332,000 4 years ago. Really took a big jump in 2021, another pounce in 2022, and then we kind of fell in 2023 from 3.5 million down to 1.4, less than 50% of the previous year. Worse than that, we're not making a profit. Where'd all that go? Quarterlies? Yeah, I'm sure they have quarterly reports. You just don't always show up over here on the OTC markets. That's why we have other places to do our due diligence. But this is where I do most of mine initially. I start here and work out. Taking a look at the balance sheet for the company. Woo! Well, they got lots of money in the bank. About 29 million. Right? Yeah, that's right. 28 million. About 50 million in assets. A mere 8.3 million in liabilities. So we are holding 42 million in stockholder equity. You can take their shares, what was it, about 72, 75 million, something like that. Divide that into stockholder equity, and that should give you a close price based on assets, what the stock would be worth. But there's a lot of ways to figure out what a stock's price should be worth. Take a look at our disclosures. 6K 425, right. These had to do with that offering. And this one here has to do with them changing their incorporation in some way. But I didn't see anything here I thought worthy of sharing with you. It's important. I just didn't think it was worthy of sharing. So let's go take a look now at ticker ARBE at Thinkorswim. All right, let's drop our ticker in there. ARBE. Let's back this to the 1 year chart so we can get our 52-week high and 52-week low. Wow. Doesn't that look like our last chart? We do have the right ticker up there, ARBE, but boy, does that look very similar. We're just missing that big jump right there. So she too has been going sideways. She's had a little upswing. She got up on top of the 200, back up underneath it, but she's been hanging around that 200-day MA, which is not bad. She hasn't had any excitement. She hasn't dropped. She hasn't jumped. until here recently. She went from $1.71 to $5.09. You're looking at 350% run there. Then she's come all the way back down, and right now she's at about $3.25. All of our MAs are crossing the 200 right now, bringing strength back into the picture. After you have a rocket stock, folks, when it goes up, 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 you have to expect it to come down. It's not crashing. It's taking a healthy pullback, coming back to an MA. As you can see, this had a lot of momentum because it was way up there. So when it came down, it put a lot of wicks through that 9-day. But the solid bars stayed above the 9-day. So that's a good landing. That's like landing and bending your knees. You know, it's not like you went into the ground. You just bent your knees and you stand back up. And that's all we're doing here. So that's looking good. Let's take a look at our 6-month 4-hour view. Looks the same, right? Not a whole lot going on there. Oscillators look bad, except just like the last chart, they're all starting to turn up right now. They had the big fall. They're coming underneath. It's trying to get on top of the 50. God, these two are running, kind of exactly alike. Everything is starting to come back right now. Everything is looking stronger. Our 20-day 1-hour view. So we had a jump here on the 26th of December. She went from $1.50 up to $2.50. Sideways for about 5 days, and then she took that nice jump from $2.25 to $5.30. That's 100% plus. Came back down, landed on her 9-day. You can see that's where she's been sitting, right? So when she pushed away here from that 9-day, she was too far away from it. The price is a kangaroo, not an eagle. It has to have ground, has to have something to land on, and that's what these MAs are for. It lands and bounces on them, and if it's moving too hard, it'll break through these MAs. The 9-day is super thin. It's only 9 days of data. That's like balsa wood. Your 20-day, that's kind of like plywood. It's a little bit thicker. Your 50-day is a nice plank, and your 200, well, that's a 2x4. Well, if your price stays on top of the 9, it's doing well. It came all the way back down and landed right on the 9. And just continued climbing. This was doing great, folks, until it came under the 9. Once you come under the 9, you are in fall motion now. And all of the MAs followed the 9, and we've come back down here to our 200-day MA where we started. But the 200-day MA is a lot higher now. It's repositioned it, so it's just come back down to the 200 in a higher position. And now she's starting to bounce. She's right on top of her 50 with the 200 haul over top of her. If she can get over that 200 haul, she can have another run. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. I swear to God, these are running, right? This is running downhill, just like that last one. We're at $4.42 just 5 days ago. Right now, we're at $3.25. She came down, hit this low, went sideways, crossed all of the MAs, going sideways, bounced off of our 200 haul, went to and through the 200 MA. That's what happens in a lot of cases when you have the price on the 50, right? It's up here on the 50, 200 haul underneath, 200 MA on the top. Both 200s are closing in on each other. We see that our 200 haul is blue. The price will bounce off of it and shoot like Babe Ruth hit it. It'll go right to the fence, right to the 200 and over it. And normally once it goes over it, that's as far as it'll go. It'll go up and then come back down, but it'll normally stay on top of the 200. It'll bounce around up there a couple times, and then it'll decide if it's going to launch or not. And in most cases, it does. So this is a great setup right now for a continuation. We just want to see it come back down to the 200 and bounce a few times. Here's all of our MAs. They're coming up, going to cross that 200. That's going to give power to the price rise. Our oscillators, PPO is climbing. MACD is climbing. RSI is dipping just a little bit because of that one red bar after market. And what does my ADX say? Well, the ADX tells you what trend is dominant. Whichever colored line is on the top of the graph is the dominant chart. Our green line is on the top. Green is for an uptrend, right? And the yellow line tells you how strong that dominant trend is. If it is down here, that's the floor. There's no strength on the floor. Up here is the ceiling. If it gets to the ceiling, that's dynamite strength. So we have a strong yellow line for the green line, telling us our uptrend is growing in strength right now. So this looks really good to me, folks. I would be putting ARBE on my watch list for tomorrow. This looks like it definitely has a chance of pulling away. All right, I've got one more stock for you, and it too is a robotics company. Now, this is one you have heard about. I've covered it many times, and it doesn't seem to be moving on the charts, which is really, really frustrating. And full disclosure, I am invested in AITX. I've been in this one probably over a year. So, AITX, Artificial Intelligence Technologies. This is a company based out of Michigan, the United States. She finished today at 00335, and she was down almost 7% today. She dropped 00025. Wasn't a big drop, but it's a drop. She is on the bottom tier of the OTC, the pinks. The QX is the best tier, close as you get to the major exchange. You can fully trust them. QB is the better tier. It's better than the pinks. You have to audit your financials there, have a minimum price of a penny. We start to trust the QBs. The pinks are the riskiest stocks on the entire markets because there's no validated information. How can you learn anything about a company if you have no validated information? What I mean by that is they don't file any filings. Their financials, what we read, are just called disclosures because there's no auditing done. No CPA looks at them. They're just tallies, just receipts basically that the management passes off to us. So we really can't use them to weigh up the value of the company. The only thing you normally get with a pink is hot news. And that's why these stocks run, is hot news. And I have invested in pinks for many years. When I was a novice, I didn't know anything about the market. I didn't understand pinks and how risky they were. And I lost tens of thousands of dollars investing on hot news. You heard the word, investing. I wasn't trading them, getting in and out in short time periods. I was jumping in for the long haul. I don't mean years, but I mean a couple months. And things just fell apart. A merger, new technology you've never ever heard before. And we got the inventor joining our board of directors. I mean, the biggest, bestest news you could ever hope for. And then all of a sudden the deal falls through. The guy quits. The company doesn't do their financials, goes to the expert market. It's like, oh my God. So what am I saying in short? Don't trust pinks, folks. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't invest in pinks, only trade pinks. We have no validated information except for these two green ticks right there. This is given to us courtesy of the OTC markets. This is one of their jobs. They run this site. It's their business. So much of a business that they are on the public markets. You can actually invest in the OTCmarkets.com. This is what they do. And one of the things they do is to verify information on companies. And they have verified the profile for this company and the transfer agent. Not quite sure what's all entailed in that, but it's the only validated information we get. So thank God for that. So what is this company about? Well, you probably know, but I'm going to read this anyways, just for first newcomers who have never heard. Artificial Intelligence Technology Solutions create software, firmware, hardware, and robots and processes that allow enterprise organizations to deploy AI-enabled devices to perform business services related to security and facility management. These services save organizations significant money while allowing them to improve and expand critical functions. Solutions from the company primary subsidiary robotic assistants include the Rad Dog. They've got a little robotic dog. They've got the Rio, the Rosa, the Ava, the Ross. They're all different products. I'm not going to go through all the products because, well, that's not what we do here. You know what they've got. If you really want to learn about them, do some more due diligence. Now, I've got some information to share with you here, but we're going to just start with the relative volume and work our way into that information. So, what was the relative volume for this company today? Well, it's up. And that's a pretty good number, folks. As an average on the OTC, she's been getting roughly 148 million shares a day over the last 30 days. Folks, the OTC don't get a lot of volume. We got, let me refresh this just to make sure. Okay, I knew it would be a little bigger. We got 4.4 billion shares today for the entire OTC market. We've got 12,300 companies up there. Lots and lots and lots of companies got no shares sold today. But before COVID, we were doing 60 to 70 billion a day. So this is not a lot of shares. But you can see that with most companies on the OTC, they're not doing but 100,000 shares, 10,000 shares as an average. This company's kicking butt every day. So there are a lot of people watching this company. It just isn't moving on the charts. Taking a look at the share structure for AITX. Oh yeah, this is a problem. We've got 13 billion shares in the outstanding share count. Worse yet, we got 13 billion shares in the float. Why is that a problem? Well, first off, your slice of pie is very, very, very thin. So you don't get a whole lot of shareholder value if they have any equity. But worse than that, you know they're going to be doing a reverse stock split. That's just too many shares. And we have seen when that happens. When a company gets popular and they start running for 3-4 days in a row and the price is closing in on a penny, boom, that's when it happens. Well, the CEO of AITX told us a while ago, way back in 2024, they had promised that they were not going to have any reverse stock splits up until January 2025. This is our CEO. I will zoom in. You can see right there is where it said it. No stock splits before January 2025. Well, that just happened. So what? We got a stock split coming now. No, fact of the matter is, I don't have it here. I could show it to you if I took some time to look it up. But the fact of the matter is, he extended that promise to January of 2026. So if you're holding AITX and you want to average down, you could if you trust him. And that's what pinks are all about, trusting the management. That's really all you got. So if you're going to do any due diligence on a pink, study the management. Look at their history. See if they have a criminal record, a lot of failures, or a lot of successes. This will tell you more about the company than anything else that you read. So we've got 13 billion in the float, and it's going to stay that way for a while. Currently, with all them shares on the market, we've got a market cap of 47 million. You figure out the market cap by taking all the shares in the outstanding share count and multiplying it times the price. That's it. And that gives you your market cap. Taking a look at the financials for the company. All right, our financials go up to February of 2024. And as you can see, they're growing, right? Every single year they've been growing. All right, we did have a down year here. But I'm going to skip all this and I'm going to jump into the piece of news that covers their most recent financial. I've lost my highlights, so bear with me here. AITX announces Q3 full year 2025 financial results, which do not show up on the financial page here, featuring 300% revenue growth year over year. Highlights include quarter over quarter revenue growth of 30%. Now let's see if I can see that information. For the 9 months ended November 30th, 2024, AITX recorded revenues of over $4.2 million, representing an increase of 213% from $1.3 million. Now, we're not going to go through it, but when you look at their news, they have lots of news because every robot they sell, they put a news press on. Could you imagine Ford doing that with every car they sell? We sold a car to Mr. George Flamingo. So yeah, they've got lots of deals. And they do tell us down here, where is that piece of information? Hold on, there it is. Rad1 has a prospective sales pipeline of over 35 Fortune 500 companies and numerous other client opportunities. Rad1 expects to continue to attract new businesses as it converts its existing sales opportunities into deployed clients, generating a recurring revenue stream. Each Fortune 500 client has the potential of making numerous reorders over time. And as I was looking at their products, I saw a new one in there. that AI robot, Sarda or whatever her name was. I'm sorry, I can't remember at this moment. So the company is making improvements on the products that they have, and they're adding more products to their product line. So things are looking good for them. All right, so let's take a look now at their disclosures, which is the last thing we really need to consider here. We do have their financial right there. The 10Q, that is their quarterly. 10K is the annual. This, even though they're on the pink. Whoa, look at that, folks. That's a big deal. Most pinks do not have 10Ks and 10Qs. This is something they voluntarily ask for. They make themselves transparent. Now, there's a lot of companies on the pinks that do this, but most of them don't. So we can trust this 10Q right here, folks. This has been audited. CPA has looked at it. We're going to have information in there that is legally documented, so you can trust all of that information. So you want to do some due diligence on AITX. Don't go through her 300 news presses reading about every deal she's had. Just jump into this. It has every single piece of information that you could be looking for. Splits, mergers, products, where their office is at, how much the employees get paid, who's invested in the company. It's all in there, folks. Get used to reading 10Ks and 10Qs, and you'll find doing due diligence easy because they're all set up the same. Once you learn where it's at in one, that information is going to be in the same place in all the 10Ks and 10Qs. It's a wonderful thing. So there you go. There is AITX's information. Let us go take a look at her chart now. Honey, I'm home. We are looking at AITX, 1 day, 1 year chart. Let's make that chart nice and big. I do like my ADX a little bit bigger. I like my ADX. I can already see we've got a green trend, which is getting weaker. It's falling, but it's still above the downtrend. But we do see the two of them coming together right now, which means there is a reversal that could be occurring right about now. So looking at our yearly chart here, we've got a 52-week low of 0021 and a 52-week high of 009, and no reverse stock split. Woohoo! She had come all the way back down to the 200, bounced on it, and then broke it. She went underneath it. She's been down here for quite a few months, and right now, look here, our 200 haul turned blue. When did the price jump? When it turned blue. That is to say, when the 200 haul started to come up. And over and over and over again, I'm pointing this out to you folks. When the 200 turns up, when the price is near the 50 and the 200 is above it, you normally get a breakout to and through the 200. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is a money maker. It's worth repeating. Get your price in between the two 200s on the 50 and watch her rock and roll up and over that 200. Our oscillators, we've got a strong PPO and MACD, but they are curving down right now, rolling over as the chart is coming down. And our RSI is also falling. Come on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. All right, we have got our high there of that 90099, and then a long drawn out fall. She's been sitting on the 200 haul. You can see how she respects it, right? She's buddied up to that 200 haul. She is sitting right on top of it for a very long time, got right up here, and then decided to jump. Now, I don't see anything on the chart to tell me except maybe a crouch. If you see a stock going sideways doing absolutely nothing, and then you see a low bubble just come into the picture, that could be the cat crouching down just a couple inches so that it can jump a bunch of feet. That could be a crouch before the pounce. That's the only thing I see here. And she went from the low of 0024 up to 0052. So we've got 100% run there. Now let me grab my Fibonacci here. I'm going to poke the top of this run, and I'm going to come to the bottom of the run. Not the low bubble, but the run. What I am looking for here is the center, the 50% mark, which is right there. Now, the 50% mark is very critical. If the price can stay above the 50% mark, it has a tendency to want to climb. If it falls underneath the 50% mark, it has a tendency to want to fall to a strong MA. And that appears to be what we've got going on right here. She broke the 50, she was trying to hang on to it, fell underneath it, couldn't hang on to the next one, which is called the 38, and she's come down here to our 23, which is our 50-day and our 200 haul. Very strong together. The two of them together is a real strong place for the price to bounce. So chances are this could come all the way down somewhere near 0031, somewhere around there. But this is moving. Your MAs are climbing, so it's going to be on that, I think, is where we're going to get our bounce. Our MACD and our PPO are both falling. These two are cousins. They're related to each other. The MACD uses the full price, and the PPO uses a percentage of the price. I like the PPO better, but I use the MACD because it does tell me things the PPO doesn't. And then we've got our RSI down there, and it is on a slow downtrend right now, but hey, come on up. You can see she's been falling with the price, which is completely normal. So everything is intact. Taking a look at our 20-day 1 hour. Well, it's pretty much the same picture, except now she has broke through her 200 and her 50 here, which is not a good sign. So it looks like she's coming down to the 200 here, which is just above 0029, just above that. Again, we are at that 003 zone on both charts, right around there. So that's where I would expect this to come. So if you were looking for an entrance or a bounce or an average down, that's probably going to be the zone, right around 003. Oscillators. Do I see a slight turn up? Very, very slight. Not really worth mentioning. You can see we have our red line at the top here for our ADX. That tells me the downtrend is strong, but it's weak, but it's getting stronger. So right now, she is breaking down. She is probably going to fall down. All of our oscillators are tipping to the downside. Let's see what our 5-day 15-minute says. Yeah, you can see here she was going sideways on our 200 haul. The 200 is rolled over. Our 50 is rolled over. Our 20 is rolled over. Our price is under the 9. Every single MA is over top of the price's head, all coming down like a waterfall. So she's being pushed down really hard right now. She needs to get her feet under something so she doesn't keep falling. She needs to find a support, an MA. She needs to get her feet on something. So again, I think 003 is probably where she's going to go. I can't guarantee anything. Nobody can. But that's the way it looks to me. AITX, the big news is with her 13 billion shares in the float, we don't have to worry about a reverse stock split. But at the same token, that's a ton of shares that she's got to move if this stock is to rise. And we don't get a whole lot of shareholder value out of that. So I'm not crazy about AITX for a swing because I don't see her going anywhere. And unless she gets a really strong catalyst, a huge order or something, I don't see her having a rip. I've been holding this for a while, and she's been going sideways in this 3-4 zone, just not going anywhere. So even though I like the company, I can see a lot of Fortune 500 companies making use of her products. I can see her revenues growing. I don't think she has the sparkle that most investors are looking for right now. So she's not a bad company. Her revenues are growing. They just exploded. She's got good products. She's got new products. Just can't get a whole lot of love from the investors. What can you say? So there you go, folks. We've got 3 tickers there, MBOT, Arbes, and AITX, all working with robotics in some way or another. Is robotics going to be hot? I think so. Whether it be autonomous driving or it be Martha, the robot that's in your house cooking your dinner and dusting your furniture. I think robots are going to become a part of society in every facet. We just can't even imagine it yet. So yeah, I think it's going to be a huge market. Remember, folks, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See you, folks.